Many years ago, in a village not far from the great ocean, there lived a woman named Urena. Oh, Urena was a very beautiful woman. Her skin shined like polished bronze, and her eyes deep blue, white long hair, mysterious sparkles of the sea. This story isn't about Urena, but about her daughter Ure. Let's sneak peek into Urena's life a bit. Urena had a secret. She was not from the land. She was a daughter of the water, a mermaid from a powerful underwater kingdom. But she lived with the human in the land now. According to the ancient laws of her people,
marry land dweller and give birth on the soil. You can never return to the ocean in flesh, but in spirit. You would be rejected by your kin, and worse, you would die during childbirth.
The law was strict. Urena knew this law. She feared it. But one day she met a man called Okonkwo on the shore, and she fell in love with him. Okonkwo was a very handsome man, tall and masculine. Urena fell deeply in love with this man. Okonkwo was a trader who traded wrapper and other fabric outside of their village. Urena was scared, but was already deeply in love with Okonkwo. He was a strong man, kind, and he adored Urena with all his heart. Despite the warnings, Urena chose love. She told Okonkwo everything about herself, but she skipped the part where she would die giving birth. They started seeing themselves often, and eventually they got married. And for a time, life was like a beautiful dream. They were so happy together. They did everything and anything together. Then, Urena got pregnant. She was so happy at first. But as soon as the day of the delivery got closer, she became scared of the warning. Smile vanished off her face. Then the day of the delivery arrived quicker than later. Okonkwo cheered her up, not knowing what was wrong. As the sun began to set, Urena gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. She held her tiny daughter in her arms for one final precious moment. And then with a final breath she said,
"Promise me to love our child. Tell her I will never leave her heart."
With a heartbreaking voice, Okonkwo cried out, "I swear I will, my love." But though her body was buried on land, her spirit did not vanish. No, it traveled straight back to the water where she belonged, watching over her child from the depths. Okonkwo was heartbroken. For 3 years, he mourned his beloved Urena. He refused to look at another woman because he saw Urena's face every single time he looked at their daughter, whom he named Ure. Soon, the village elders began to mount heavy pressure on him. Okonkwo and elder
you
cried,
must remarry. You need a son so your name does not end. This your daughter will get married one day and drop your name. Do you want your legacy to die?
Finally, worn down by their words, Okonkwo married a woman named Ofure, whom he met on his way to the market to buy food for him and his daughter. Ofure was also a very beautiful woman to look at, but oh, her heart was as dark as charcoal. At first, she pretended to be an angel. She made Ure's hair, played with her, and smiled, but inside she was rotting with jealousy. She hated how Okonkwo shared everything with Ure. The same mat, the same food, even the same laughter. They were inseparable. Soon, Ofure got pregnant and gave birth to twin girls. They were pretty children also, but they could not compare to Ure. Ure was a vision of perfection. She had striking blue eyes that reflected the ocean just like her mother. White long hair that flowed down her back like silk. A pointed nose and a face beautiful it seems carved by the gods. Growing up, Ofure's children and Ure played a lot until Ofure started sowing a seed of dislike in them. They became jealous of Ure. Everywhere they went, people only noticed Ure. Ofure's own daughters, Kome and Iwere, became invisible in Ure's shadow. This drove Ofure into a madness of envy.
Ure, I hate you!
She maltreated her so bad, stabbed her, but despite everything, Ure still glowed and blossomed in beauty. Ofure decided she wanted Ure off the face of this earth. She knew about the Ugene River. The Ugene River was a place the villagers believed was cursed. No one dared go there on the Eke market day, for it was said that the mermaid comes out to bath and survey the river on that day. So it is considered a cursed day to go to the river because the mermaids were violent and would eventually kill you.
Go, human!
One Wednesday afternoon, while Okonkwo was away, Ofure forced Ure to go to the Ugene River to wash a huge pile of cloth. Ure cried and begged. Ofure, shoving the basket of cloth, "Go wash this cloth at the Ugene River now. Please, it's Eke market day," Ure cried. Ofure spoke to her in a very cold voice. "Go or starve tonight." Ofure pushed her out the door. She was finally happy she was going to get Ure off her face. Ure walked down the silent, lonely path, sobbing with every step. As Ure approached the Ugene River, her heart was pounding against her ribs, like a trapped bird. Oh, she was so afraid. She knelt by the river, her tears falling into the water. She saw some mermaids angrily approaching to where she was. She was so scared. Suddenly, the water began to swirl and bubble. Slowly, the most beautiful woman Ure had ever set her eyes on rose from the depths. Her hair was white, silk flowing on the wave, and her eyes, they were the exact same blue as Ure's. They had a striking resemblance. The other mermaids returned back to the underwater. Ure, trembling and backing away.
Please don't hurt me. My stepmother sent me to wash. I didn't mean to disturb the spirits.
Do not run, my precious star. Do you not feel the pull in your blood? I am Urena. I am the mother who held you before the land took my breath away. Ure stopped in her track. Her eyes widened. My mother. But father said you were gone. He said you died the day I was born. Urena reaching out her hand. A mother's love never dies, Ure. It only changes form. I have been here, watching you from the sea. I have seen your tears. I have seen the darkness in that woman's heart. Oh, my poor child, how you have suffered. Ure, running into her mother's arms, sobbing. She hates me, mother. She hates me. She sent me here hoping the water would take me. Why does she hate me so much? Urena stroking Ure's long hair tenderly. She hates you because you belong to two worlds, and she belongs to none. She is jealous of the light you carry. But listen to me, your time of crying is coming to an end. You are not just a village girl, you are the princess of the deep. Ure, looking down at her own hands. I feel strange. My skin tickles when I touch the water. That is your power waking up. It is time you protect yourself. Power? Mother, how? Ure asked. You are half human, half mermaid, Urena, her mother answered. Ure was shocked. Time has come for me to go back to the depths, Urena said. Will I see you again, mother? Please don't leave me here alone. Take me with you, Ure said. Kissing Ure's forehead, I am every drop of the rain and every wave that hits the shore. Wash your clothes quickly, my love. Go home, stand tall. Very soon the whole world will see the beauty that has been hidden. With a splash that sounded like music, Urena disappeared back into the blue, leaving Ure standing on the bank. This time, no longer a frightened girl, but a woman with the strength of the sea in her soul. When Ure returned home unharmed, Ofure was shocked. How was she still alive, she asked herself. Angry, frustrated and determined, she sent Ure back again and again.
You witch! You are stressing me, witch!
On the third visit, Urena was furious.
Why does this woman want to kill my child? Why?
Next, it might be something else and not sending her to the river, she said to herself. Urena came out to the shore. and she pulled out a glowing magical bead from her own neck.
Take this, wear it close to your heart. It will guide your path and reveal the truth of who you are and bring you luck. It will bring you luck, but anyone takes this by force, it will bring them nothing but misery.
Ure collected the magical bead from her mother and wore it on her neck. As Ure walked home, her palm felt cold, her body felt strange, her mermaid powers were waking up. As soon as she stepped inside, Ure was furious again. Why does this witch not die whenever I send her to the river? Or are the villagers lying about the river? Frustrated and angry, she called Ure's name loudly, and Ure ran towards her. Ure's eyes were immediately locked onto the bead. She was mesmerized.
Girl, where did you get that bead from?
Before Ure spoke,
You stole these beads from me. They are mine.
No, I didn't!
Liar, give it back now.
Ure tried to protect the bead, but Ure immediately snatched it from her neck, locking it in her bag. Ure cried that night because that was the only gift she has of her mother. Even when Okonkwo returned, he noticed how sad Ure was always looking. But anytime he asked her, "I am fine, Daddy," she would say. Ure would immediately become the actor that she is. She would give Ure beautiful dresses to wear, feed her nice food. But as soon as Okonkwo travels for work, she would collect everything back and starve Ure. Ure started plotting of other creative ways to take Ure off the surface of this earth. Time passed, and a very handsome, wealthy man called Efosa returned to the village from abroad. The moment he saw Ure, he was smitten. He began coming to the house constantly to see Ure, but Ure would always hide Ure and push her own daughter, Kome, towards him. But the man had no interest in Kome. Desperate, Ure remembered the bead. Maybe it's this bead that gave this stupid girl Ure the luck and beauty and attraction she possessed. She gave it to her own daughter Kome to wear it, hoping it will make her irresistible before Efosa. But the moment Kome put it on, she began to feel something strange.
Give me that bead! No! Get off me!
When Ure saw it, she wanted to take it back from Kome, but Ure and Kome warned her to stay away. Ure knew the consequences that followed the bead. Kome wore the bead everywhere and people admired her. But after a while, she fell terribly and mysteriously sick. She became so thin and pale. Okonkwo, her father, called different medicine men, but none knew the cause of her illness. "This illness is strange to me," one said. "I have never seen it in my whole life," many others said. Meanwhile, some of them even scammed them. While Kome's sister, Iwere, felt sorry for Ure and hated her mother's cruelty, Kome and Ure remained very bitter. Eventually, the sickness took Kome's life. She died from an unknown cause, leaving Ure even more consumed by hatred. The atmosphere in the house grew thick and suffocating. Ure was no longer jealous. She was possessed by a demonic bitterness. Oh, it was a terrible thing to see. She couldn't stand the sight of Ure's glowing beauty while her own daughter Kome lay in the cold floor. She blamed Ure for everything. In her twisted mind, she thought, if I cannot have a beautiful daughter, then Okonkwo shall have no daughter at all. She met Efosa, the man that wanted to marry Ure, and said to him, "Ure is a strange girl."
Ure is a strange girl. She steals and does unimaginable things.
She said a lot, but Efosa did not listen at all to all she had to say. He kept coming to see her. Ure tried to push her other daughter, Iwere, but she refused to tread in a path of her mother and her late sister. Ure became more frustrated and wanted to end Ure at once by herself this time. It was a very hot afternoon. The air was so still you could hear a pin drop. Ure was taking a nap on the mat inside the house, looking so peaceful, so innocent. Ure crept into the room like a shadow, her feet twisted with murderous curl. She held a heavy, sharp object, ready to end Ure's life forever. The moment she raised her hand to strike, disaster struck for Ure. Suddenly, the room filled with the scent of fresh sea salt. Out of nowhere, massive, shiny water bubbles began to rise from the floor. They were glowing with a fierce heavenly light. The bubble gathered around Ure, lifting her body off the mat and suspending her high in the air. Ofure fell back, gasping for air. She watched in absolute horror as Ure's skin began to sparkle like millions of tiny diamonds. Then it happened with a sound like a rushing waterfall. Ure's leg fused together. A magnificent mermaid tail, covered in scales of gold and deep blue, busted forth. It was so shiny that it almost blinded Ofure. Ure woke up, her eyes glowing like twin stars, looking down at her stepmom with the power of the great deep. Ofure was terrified. Her heart was knocking against her chest like a drum. She ran out of the room and ran into the village square. She wanted to scream. She wanted to tell everyone, Ure is a monster, she is possessed. She has tails. But when she opened her mouth to shout, nothing came out. No single sound came out. She was completely deaf and dumb. The spirit of the water had locked her throat. She was running around like a madwoman, waving her hands and pointing towards her house. But the villagers only looked at her with pity and confusion. They thought she had finally lost her mind from grief. Humiliated, frustrated, and shaken with the fear of the sea monster in her house, Ofure packed her few rags in the middle of the night and fled the village, never to show her face again. Ofure lived in the hiding for a while, bitter and broken, but her heart remained as hard as stone. One day, it was a normal day, not even an Eke day. Ofure went to the bank of the same Ugene River, where she had sent Ure to be destroyed. She was there to wash her dirty dress, grumbling in her heart and cursing Ure's name in her silence. She didn't know that Urena was watching from beneath the surface. Oh, Urena was very angry. She had seen how this woman had tried to kill her child. She had seen the bitterness that Ofure refused to let go. As Ofure bent down to dip her cloth into the water, the river suddenly began to boil. The water turned a dark, angry green. Suddenly, Urena rose from the surface. She looked terrifying and majestic, her eyes flashing like lightning. Ofure tried to run, but the wet sand trapped her feet. With a mighty splash, Urena struck. She unleashed the fury of the waves, striking Ofure down right there at the water edge. The very river Ofure tried to use as a weapon became her own place of judgment. The next morning, the villagers found her lifeless corpse lying at the stream. The woman who had tried to bring the death to an innocent girl had finally met her own at the hands of a mother's love. After the darkness of Ofure's end had passed, the village was filled with light once more. Ure and Iwere lived together peacefully with Okonkwo. Then, Efosa came to seek Ure's hand in marriage. He had seen many women in his travels abroad, but none had the grace, the glowing skin, or the mysterious blue eyes of Ure. He loved her with a passion that was pure and true. Ure loved Efosa deeply, but she knew she could not build a home on a lie. One evening, under the silver glow of the full moon, she led Efosa to the quiet banks of the Ugene River. The air was cool and smelled of blooming lilies. Ure did not seem frightened at all. She stood tall and proud, for she finally understood her own power. She looked at Efosa and said, "My husband, you see my face, but you did not know the blood that flows in my vein. My mother was of the water, and so am I." Before Efosa could speak, Ure stepped into the moonlight stream. As soon as the water touched her ankle, a very bright light exploded around her. Right there, with a total confidence, her leg transformed into a magnificent shiny mermaid tail. Her scales sparkled like 1,000 blue diamonds. She dived into the water. Her hair was long, trailing behind her back like a silk veil. And then she resurfaced, looking like a goddess. Efosa was amazed, but he was not afraid. He knelt by the water. His heart was full of wonders. "Ure," he cried, "you are a wonder of the world. I do not care if you belong to the land or to the sea. You are my wife, and I will honor your secret forever." From that day on, Ure became a woman of both worlds. She lived in Efosa's grand palace as the most respected wife of the land, and she remained the light of her father Okonkwo's eyes. Okonkwo was so happy. He finally understood that his beloved Urena had never truly left him. she lived through their daughter. But Ure's heart also belonged to the deep, because her mother Urena has pleaded with the king of the sea. The water kingdom opened its gates to Ure. Whenever she misses her mother, Ure would walk down to the river. The moment she dived in, she would transform into that beautiful shining mermaid. She would swim deep and deep, down into the coral palace, where the water was warm and blue. There, she and Urena would reunite, hugging and swimming together in the underwater garden. Urena would comb Ure's long hair with shells and tell her the ancient stories of the sea. When she was done, Ure would swim back to the shore. As she stepped onto the sand, her tail would vanish, and she would walk back to her home as Efosa's beautiful wife and Okonkwo's golden daughter. There was no more jealousy, no more bitterness, and no more fear. Iwere too married a very rich man from the neighboring village, and they lived happily ever after. Ure had found a perfect balance. She was the queen of the land and the princess of the sea, and her story was told for generations as the girl who was half human, half mermaid, and entirely loved. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and turn on your notification. Bye.